Hi guys, welcome back to Alamat Short Stories, where we narrate short stories submitted or researched by our team to share with you all. This week's story is about a chilling experience that the author went through one night in a small town in the Philippines. This tale is called She Was Peeking Through the Gap at the Door by Random ETV. Okay, first of all, this is my first time, so please be kind. I'm not sure if this is going to be a scary story for you guys, but for me, it sure was. This is a true story, by the way. So let's begin. I think I was 16 back then. I'm male, and you could say I'm a bit of a geek. I would actually write short, scary stories and let my classmates read it for fun and to see what they think. Okay, so enough intro. I live in the Philippines, in a very small town back in the province. We were renting a small ancestral Chinese house from an old, very old, Chinese couple who owned a commercial building just beside the house. About the old couple? They're going to be a whole different story. Anyway, the house's first floor was closed up and was made into a makeshift garage. So we lived on the second floor. Everything was there: the bath, the kitchen, etc. It was, as you could say, a very normal night. Nothing special. Me and my family had dinner, watched a little TV for a couple of hours, and called it a night. I tucked myself to bed and drifted to sleep right away. Now, all the lights were off. The only light coming through our house is the light from the lamppost outside, which would come from the living room to my room. So when you're in my room and the lights are off, you can only see shadows and shapes, and from little to no color at all. I hope you can picture it out, right? Our doors are not the usual doors. Before you could open a door, there's a long curtain covering it. I didn't know why it was like that back then, but I think it was for aesthetic purposes. Now, everyone who knows me knows that I hate it when my door is left open. I always wanted it closed, so that I'm not disturbed when I'm writing or anything. My room is my sanctuary. I think it was the middle of the night when I was woken up by nothing. Still half asleep, I quickly looked at my door to check if it was closed, so I could go back to sleep again. Then I faced the opposite direction, only to feel like a hand grazing the back of my neck. Why? Because my door was not closed. It was semi-open, like someone left it like that, leaving a small gap. I wish I could say it was only that, but as soon as I looked back at the door, I could see a figure of an old lady wearing a worn-off nightgown. She was peeking through that small gap at the door. Her right hand was even holding the curtain away so she could have a better look at me. She was trying to check if I was awake. Her head was moving back and forth like a very curious person, but she made sure she didn't make a sound. I had some shivers run down my spine. Is this real? I was sure it wasn't my mom or my sister. I couldn't move one bit. I thought to grab my blanket and cover myself, but as fate would have it, and was nicely folded and new, I didn't have the strength to unfold it and use it as a shield. I closed my eyes and prayed for her to go away. But nope. When I opened them, she was still there. I assumed she couldn't see if I was awake or not, so I started to study her, with my eyes squinted to look as if they were closed. During this whole encounter, I could hear like an echoing sound. It was very distracting. It was distracting me from hearing the other normal sounds. As I was staring at her, I noticed she would peek at the gap at the door, then look at the floor, then back at me again. I was curious to what she was looking at, so I looked at the floor, and I wish I hadn't. It was a big mistake on my part. I saw that her gown was dripping and it had made a small puddle, and she was stepping on it. She would stare at it and then at me. I still couldn't move at this point. I just closed my eyes, kept on praying and praying. Maybe about 3 minutes later, I opened my eyes and she was gone. I made a huge sigh of relief, but then I heard a voice, an old lady's voice. It was an echoing voice that said, "Let's come back tomorrow. He's already asleep." I was floored. She was not alone. I couldn't believe what I just heard. I was at full panic. Then after that, everything just went away. Like nothing happened. No puddle of whatever it was. No sign of her. But the door was still half open. I don't know how I managed to fall asleep, but I did. The next morning, I wanted to tell my mom what happened, but my jaw was locked. I couldn't open my mouth and it hurt like hell. I cried and we went to the hospital to have me checked. What do you guys think of this week's story? If you know what kind of cryptid or spirit that old lady and the other creature was, share them down below in the comment section. If you have stories you would want me to narrate, send them over at mralamatph@gmail.com. And if you enjoyed the content so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this to your friends and family. Salamat guys, and see you in the next one.